Then
There it
the
is.
re-emergence of Reverend Lonnie Love, blessed my soul. I don't care what nobody say. That was Reverend Leon Lonnie Love with 50 pounds of gray hair.
Tastemakers.
Class. We do more than make a living, we make a life. When everything is dark, we are the light. We are the tastemakers, aight. Let tomorrow tell the stories that we make tonight. We do more than make a living.
Last topic.
So what are we spoiling?
They cloned Tyrone.
Oh, we finna talk about it. If you didn't see it, now would be the time to get off. Come on,
They
10.
cloned Tyrone.
You got 10 seconds to exit the premises if you don't want to have it ruined.
7.
Indeed. So I hope you guys have had a chance to see it. It is on Netflix. Of course, it involves John, what is it? Boyega. I always say his last name wrong.
Boyega.
Boyega. Thank you. Of course, Jamie Foxx. And then what is it? Tiana somebody?
I can't remember her name.
Paris? Is it Tiana? Somebody look it up real quick before we mess it up. Tiana.
I think it's Tiana Paris. Yeah, Tiana Paris.
Okay, cool. So anyway, who of course you'll see her in the Marvels and she, different things of that nature in the MCU. But listen, the movie was real good. I thought it was real good. All right. So first and foremost, let's start with a rating. 1 out of 10. What do you give the movie? Let's start with Bree. 1 out of 10. What do you give it?
I think I would go 8.5.
8.5. Charles?
Conceptually, it's a 10, but the execution, I'll give it about an 8.
Okay. Keynote Key?
I think I'm going to join the people with an 8, and the only reason, an 8. I'd say an 8.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Jamal Ruckers gives it the 9.5 in the chat. I gave it an 8 in the group chat. For those of you join the Patreon, you get to join the group chat and where we talk about all this stuff and pick topics and stuff like that. Join the Patreon. Just go to patreon.com, search Tastemakers Pod, and you'll see us there. Make sure to join. It's a good time, and you definitely want to be a part of the group chat. So listen, I gave it an 8 too. I love it. I definitely, I really enjoyed it. 8's very high for me. So I really, really enjoyed it. I want to ask everybody their highlights of the movie, and then we'll go on to what do you think the movie says, and we'll start dissecting and stuff like that. So highlights of the movie. Let's start with Charles. What was your highlight of the movie?
Don't start with me. Don't start with me.
What you say? You gonna be here all night? What's that?
I got a few. I got a few.
Key, what you want to jump in?
Listen, so my highlights. First of all, Isaac is fine. Okay, John Boyega is cute, but he's a little young. Isaac, when I saw when the I said, hey, who is that? I have never seen this man before in my life. He is cute. Isaac, the one who.
Oh my gosh, the one that shot him.
The one that shot him. Isaac is when he came in that barbershop, and they all had their barbershop clothes on.
Hold on. We're talking about
J. Alphonse.
Gangster number 2 in the movie.
First of all, don't disrespect Jay.
Did you ask me for highlights? Is that what you asked me for?
Gangster number 2.
Did you ask me for highlights?
Fine.
Ask me for highlights. That's my first question. The answer is
Key,
yes.
Did you watch Snowfall?
Yeah. Huh?
Did you watch Snowfall?
No.
Oh, Gangster number 2 was in Snowfall?
He was in there too.
He is handsome.
He was playing Gangster number. He was playing Gangster number 3 in Snowfall, right?
Bro, we're not doing this.
I mean, look, I watched every episode of Snowfall. I did not recognize him right away.
I feel like he was in. I think he was in that. He was also in. What's the show about the LGBTQ community in? I think like New Orleans or whatever. I can't think of what it is.
Was it a movie or a show?
No, it's a show, and it was like a really big one.
Okay, so
anyway,
again,
go ahead.
So what else, Key? What other highlights?
So
other than Gangster number 2,
Alphonse, aka Isaac, was fine as he wanted to be. I purposely looked for. He was handsome. Okay,
he was in the movie for like 10 minutes.
Okay,
Rel Jasper on some P Valley.
Then the re-emergence of Reverend Lonnie Love, blessed my soul. I don't care what nobody say. That was Reverend Leon Lonnie Love with 50 pounds of gray hair. Say to you, that thing blessed my soul. And then they hit that juvenile joint. I was watching it with
David Allen Greer.
David Allen Greer, yes.
That was Reverend. I don't care what nobody say. It was Leon Reverend Lonnie Love. Reverend Leon Lonnie Love again. It was that joint with him, and me and Tasha said, I'm forgetting to be offended by this because it was like, wait a minute. We don't care if you got bills due. I was like, wait a minute. I don't like the messaging. But then that beat dropped and we was like, dang, that's how they get it. Because every time.
For the 99 to 2000.
Every time. It's the beat. When that beat dropped, we forget. Then it was Jamie. It was Slick and old girl singing in the elevator with the guns.
Oh, that was the I'm going down.
That for me was hilarious. What other joint was a highlight?
Thank you, Anthony.
Oh my gosh. So it was Leon Lonnie Love, Bless My Life. Erykah Badu remixing Tyrone.
Yo, that was so hot.
I remixed the whole song for this.
When I was like, yo, did they get her to sing this over for real?
I love this.
Yes, they did.
And the word is they did.
And then all the samples that they cleared, like all the songs that was playing, like the Diana Ross Love Hangover, I paused the movie several times. First of all, she said, you want a Shalimar? I said, wait, what's a Shalimar? And when I looked it up, I said, oh, I didn't hand it out some Shalimars in my day. Go, girl, go.
I should have Googled it, but I didn't Google it. So I was wondering what a Shalimar was.
You hear what I'm saying to you?
Can I ask you to tell me what a Shalimar is? Would that be too much?
It's a good time, essentially. It's a real good time.
Let me Google Shalimar.
It's a real good time. She said, you want a Shalimar? He was like, you gonna give me a Shalimar? She's like, go give me some chicken. I said, wait, pause. What's a Shalimar? I said, oh, I didn't hand it out some Shalimars. Go on, girl. Pause the thing.
Lord.
So that tickled my soul. What was another thing? When they was putting together, so the part of me when they put together the little diabolical plan at the end, that was also one of my highlights. When it was like, he was like, you ain't gonna like it. It was Jamie Foxx being Jamie Foxx. I saw in living color Jamie Foxx pull up.
Was it Jamie?
I saw in living color Jamie Foxx pull up. And I was like, oh man, like the comedy, like how he just burst into it was like the Jamie Foxx show, Jamie Foxx. It was in living color Jamie Foxx. It was like, oh, this is good. Like, I love the elements of comedy that were like, it was good. So I'm glad it wasn't scary, which I asked Charles because I don't do scary movies. Let me tell you something. I ain't gonna do a scary movie.
Oh, so Shalimar is just based off of the song. Get ready. This Shalimar song.
Yes, it's a good time.
It's gonna make it a night to remember.
Listen.
So Shalimar is just a night to remember. Okay.
I've handed out some Shalimar.
It's not just that.
Well, I mean, if it's a night to remember, it ain't just nothing. You know what I mean?
It ain't.
Hello.
So yeah, those are my highlights.
Yo, those were quite a few highlights. That was really, really good. Brina, what you got?
Yeah, I think the biggest one for me was the whole church scene, and I knew that I heard, and that was the most hilarious thing.
Yeah.
But I think for me, watching the movie, I was trying to figure out like what era this movie was in, because I saw 70s, and then I saw like current day. Like, it was a lot, but that was one of the biggest things for me. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was funny. I'm sure we'll get to all of the meanings behind it, but it was a really good movie. I'll definitely watch it again.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I've already watched it twice myself. CB.
All right, Jamie Foxx.
Jamie freaking Foxx.
That nigga there.
Everything he touches.
Jamie mother.
He's hilarious. The acting was great. Just period throughout the whole cast. The elevator scene for me was dope. The church scene was dope. I liked how they had Tiana Paris's character, and I forgot what her character's name was.
Yo-Yo.
Yep.
Yo-Yo.
Don't try to play me out. Don't try to play me out.
Right. How Yo-Yo, being the only non-clone, was the one who came to the realization that, you know what, in spite of our circumstances, yeah, there's something that I want to be doing in life, but I'm not there. Something I want to be doing in life, I'm not there. I'm stuck here, but that doesn't mean I need to stay here. Mm-hmm. She was the one who had the hope to get out. It was essentially, you hear this trope all the time. Black women saving the day again. Because essentially that's what it was. When the black men got down and hopeless and we're like, we don't know what to do, the black woman popped up and was like, hey fam, look, get it together. That's what we doing. And it was like, all right, you're right, we should. Okay, cool. So just, another example of black women inspiring black men to be great. I think Kiefer Sutherland, the speech that he gave outside the strip club to really lay down exactly what everything was. Granted, it was just like, at that point, it was like, okay, over explanation of the plot. But it was not just the plot. It was like, yeah, no, this is what you're watching this is what you're living.
Let's just hold up. Who expected Kiefer freaking 24 Sutherland?
That's exactly. I was like, Jack
out of that limo. When he stepped out of that joint, I was like,
right.
Really?
Yeah. I love the nods to, of course, all the different blaxploitation things, but I specifically love the Undercover Brother nod with the fried chicken. And all I saw in my head was them going through that scene where they're like, what is it they're doing for the micro? And here goes Dave Chappelle, just back there, just killing the chicken. Like, it's the chicken. He's like,
low key, Undercover Brother is a movie we don't talk about enough. But yeah,
it has shades of Undercover Brother. It has shades of Black Dynamite. It has shades like it was dope. And I'm the type where like I'll watch a movie and I've watched it twice. I'll watch something though, typically get in my mind, okay, here's what all the stuff that I feel like I understood. What did I miss? And then I'll go to YouTube to try to find, whether it's a clip from the director, a clip from the actors and actresses, or just people who review film and do like the Easter eggs. Here's everything that you missed kind of thing. And see, okay, what aligns with what I picked up and what did I miss? Is there something I thought of that they didn't even add to their thing? And yeah, I mean, understanding what the movie is about and what it's trying to say makes it even more phenomenal. I said I give it an 8 because of the execution, because there were certain elements of it where I was like, all right, I could have done without that. But yeah.
Listen, and we'll just jump right into it with everything. But I'm pretty much on the same level Charles as. I mean, I really like the statistic we used to say back in the 2000s was 1 out of 4 black men are either in jail or under a controlled substance. And so when Kiefer gets out and says the password and the black men are frozen.
No, the whole crew is frozen.
Well, everybody else was already frozen, guys. They were already frozen. They were frozen when they got at the car.
Yeah.
So the black men, the 3-star characters, 2 black men, 1 female. The 2 black men were all of a sudden frozen, but yet the black woman was the one who was not frozen. She was not the one in captivity. She was not the one under control.
She was not the clone.
She was not the clone, whatever the case may be. But then even how we are used, the black men were then used against the black woman because of the control, whatever the case may be, which is a whole nother situation, and how that happens and just how we have been pent up against each other, whatever the case may be. Listen, let's just get into it, all right? So, the chicken made us all happy and laugh. And we've seen that before, and that's actually so daggone true. The chicken makes us happy, makes us laugh. The relaxer made us do just that. It made us relax. You know what I mean? Made us docile. And then you think about the black corporate woman who relaxes her hair versus maybe the black corporate woman who, might walk in with the Afro puffs and how they're looked at. One looked at more docile than the other one. One looked at having an attitude more so than the other. That relaxer, quote unquote, relaxes us. And then they really didn't hammer in on this one, but the grape juice.
Yo.
And how the grape juice makes us obedient. Or what did y'all get out of grape juice? I say obedience was the word out of grape juice. Yeah. What did y'all get out of grape juice? Anybody else get anything else?
Well, it was grape drank, right? So there's a
Of
difference
course.
between grape drank and grape juice.
Well,
right?
you know, it was used for communion, so I'm gonna say
And
grape juice.
well, we name a time when we've ever used. I mean, we
Typical
juice,
stuff.
drank whatever for communion, right? It was the messaging, like while he was, it was while Reverend Lonnie Love was talking, while they was drinking that drink, and everybody was just like okay with the things he was saying.
Because it makes you obedient. It makes you.
So I didn't see it as make you obedient. I saw the grape drink as something that kind of it lowers your defenses. Mm-hmm. So like if you're at a party, if you're in an environment or whatever, and say you go to the cookout, somebody hands you a drink, it's a cookout you trust, you get the drink, your inhibitions are down. And at that point, you're willing to receive whatever comes. I think the obedient piece just came from, and I think that's where, as you say, Reverend Lonnie Love.
He said that. Like the first thing he says is, what he wants from us, obedience, is what he says. Right. And only reason, and then because they were tying it to religion, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, they were making a religion tie-in, right? Mm-hmm. Saying that, religion keeps us something. And I don't feel necessarily that it was religion keeps us docile. I think it was more so religion keeps us obedient, because everything the preacher says, we fall in line with. Even when it turns nonsense and now Juvenile is playing, we fall right in line. You know what I mean? That's just my thought process of that. But y'all can, but that's my.
I think that was multifaceted in that particular scene. I think the element of religion or preachers, pastors, people of the cloth being able to be an extension of whatever mind control there is, because whatever they're putting out, people are just eating up mindlessly. But then the drinking of the juice being symbolic of that, or being symbolic of that church experience, but also symbolic of the idea of I'm drinking something that lowers my inhibition, so I'll receive whatever comes. That's how I saw that.
Okay.
It's them taking someone who was once a threat to them and making him a figure so that they can improve their agenda. Because there was once a time where the black preacher was a threat to slave masters and society, and now he is his pulpit is the doorway to the demons. Like they swiped that card and the whole thing said, and that was the elevator to get to the joint. I was like, yo,
they had elevators everywhere. They had that joint in the trap house.
What about when they found the first joint and then it disappeared? Like they found the joint the first time and then they came back the next day and it was just a regular house. I was like,
on some CIA, CIA type stuff.
But you know what? Let's talk about the way the movie opened. The very beginning, the first scene of the movie is outside of a liquor store, the image of a white man with his eyes. He's smiling and watching black people out the liquor store gambling, selling whatever their product is, like in the middle of the hood, doing hood activities, being overseen by the overseer. And that is the theme that ultimately carried through the entire movie. All of these people are put here. And then watch the interview with the director. The woman that was at the beginning when she stepped out of her car and boy tried to sell her a CD or something like that.
Yeah.
All the missing posters that we saw throughout the movie was her. Missing black women. Mm-hmm. And she was one of the people that they said, yeah, that was her. He said that was her. And she was one of the people that they saved from the underground. But how many black girls go missing? And it's not reported on the news. It's never discussed. It's not talked about. They're nameless, faceless. Is just out there in the wind in our community, and we just go about our business with whatever the foolishness is that we endure.
Artistically, that was so dope. The way they showed Tiana getting kidnapped, and then it spans up to the picture of a missing black woman, just to tie that into the narrative, what we see with so many black women and people in general, just ended up missing and end up whether it's in trafficking or whatever. For all we know, they're being tested underneath us right now as we speak. But
everything the old man who sat outside the liquor store.
There you go.
Like called everything out.
Because that's all he do all day is sit there, drink, and watch.
Everything. It's like
so he becomes the oracle. He becomes the oracle.
Mm-hmm. When the clone popped up and he was like, "You got that new car smell?
You got that new car smell?"
I was like, hold up, old man.
He saw everything.
So much.
Yeah.
There's a song that I talked. A friend of mine works with cutting trailers and everything, and I was like, "Yo, we should redo their trailer, but with different songs." because the music that they chose was cool. It was like upbeat and everything. But there's a particular song that, for anybody who listens, it's a rapper named Absol. Absol is on something different now, but back in the day, all of his stuff was very much centered around conspiracy theories. This is one that he talked about in one of his songs, where, and I'm gonna read the lyrics. So for context, when he's saying Babylon, he's referring to Western cultures, ideologies, capitalism, racism, all that kind of stuff. He opens the song with his verse saying, Babylon, Babylon. Out my window, all I see is Babylon. All the news, all I see is Babylon. And all these niggas do is just Babylon. Money and hoes, I want money and hoes. If I sold dope, I'd have plenty of flows. If I was from the projects like J-Rock, I would have more than likely slang rock. All my life, all I've been around was Crips and Bloods, pimps and thugs, just to name a few. I do drugs. Mama say it's in my blood, but she don't know what I've been through. To creep through the back door, the typical black boy in the good old USA. Before I push rhymes, were like, wait, I used to want to play in the NBA. So basically, he's saying everything he's saying in that is everything you're seeing in this movie. Black man that's selling drugs, black man that wants to do more for himself or wants to be a part of the community, but all he does is grow up around these gang members. This is the typical experience of being involved as a black man in America. And that's what you see in the first 15 minutes before Fontaine gets that first, before the first Fontaine that we're introduced to gets shot, is him just going about his day in that manner, and how he's programmed to do so in that manner because he's a clone, and that's what they've established. Go ahead.
What thought pieces did y'all have behind Fontaine's mother?
Wild. That was
sometimes
wild.
I feel like a motherless child.
Not only that, but isn't it funny, like when we think about our mothers, and sometimes you'll see this on social media, where you'll see people write stuff and be like, man, I feel like I was raised by the same woman you was raised by. Get in this house. Don't leave the door open. You don't live in a barn. I put you in this world, I'll take you out of it. You know what I mean? Just the same rhetoric we all have heard from our mothers. And it's just that level of programming. You know what I mean? And what else speaks to y'all concerning the mother situation? Anything y'all got from that?
I wanted to let somebody else go because I can fill all of this time.
Yeah, because I got so much to say, not just about the mother, but about so many parts of it. So like,
let's hit the mother, then we'll go on to other parts.
So the part with the mom in that. So for me as a mom, it was the fact that she stayed in her room, and there's this kind of isolation, like there's this kind of separation between her and her son, but she's technically not even really there. Like he didn't know she was gone. He's been knocking on this door for years, and he didn't know she was gone. And there's just patented responses that she kept saying, and he was never checking. Like you never tempted to open the door. Like, oh, I went to the fish fry, I'm still full. How many times has she said that? How many times has she said that same thing? You ain't never checked to just open the door and see about your mama? Like,
is that what that about? Is people not checking on their mama?
Well,
that's what not looking out for mama?
That's one of the interpretations to be had.
I'm far too nosy to just. I'm not going to do and ask you if you want something. I'm finna open the door. I'm a different black kid though. I know traditionally in black families you don't go in your mama room. I'ma go in my mama room. I don't care about tradition. Mama, you good? I need to see your face. Because the fact that it was a empty room with a desk and a box, and how long he been living in that house with that woman? When did she go?
Well, we don't know, because which version of the clone was it?
We don't know.
Well, based on how old he was when he actually found the original Fontaine, mama been gone for years. Because original Fontaine is a solid 75.
Yeah, bro was old. But I think one of the other crazy parts about the mother scene is from the standpoint of a black man in America and the lack of love that we get everywhere else. The one place we can rely on it to come from is mom. Like when George Floyd was being killed, he called for his mama. When black men are in real need of somebody to love them for who they are, not the only safe place, but seemingly the only safe place for that to happen is with mom. And when he really needed his mother most to help him make sense of it all, his world broke when he realized Mama wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like the safe space that he thought he had, he goes out in the world, does all this crazy stuff, but at the end of the day, as long as Mama loved me, I'm good. It's not safe out there, but it's safe here. And the here where I thought it was safe isn't real.
The little boy. Anybody pick up anything really from that? The little boy.
He was endeared toward him because of that memory that was implanted in him about his brother.
No, I agree with that.
I agree with that, and like I saw that. I agree with that as well. I thought of that differently because I was that little boy. Not saying that I was out here trying to get put on, but I was a little dude on the block with everybody that was already in the gang that was like 15, 16, 17 years old, not quite 20 yet. And I'm like 7, 8 years old running around with them, being the lookout, being the decoy when they do whatever they do, essentially being groomed to get there. And he's like, I think he represents a lot of black kids in America that will look at the drug dealer, the pimp, or the ball player, whoever it is on the block, and this is why I think they were intentional about the time frame that they set up. You can't tell what time period it is because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's the 70s to now.
Yeah.
Like the 60s and 70s to now, it all plays the same. In the 60s and 70s, it was the pimps and the drug dealers and the pushers who were seen as the heroes or the superheroes of the black community.
Yeah.
Those are the kids. Those are the G's that all the little homies want to be like, as Coolio said. So the idea of, hey, I see you. You're in a place. You getting money. You out here in the streets every day. People respect you. You're who I want to be like. I'm gonna try to be up under your wing and hope that you'll allow me to grow up and be like you.
Not realizing the whole time you were looking up to and desiring to be like a clone.
A clone.
Yep.
And I think somebody wrote a whole piece where they were basically like trying to sum up the movie. And they said, you were the clone. You're the person in hip hop that's doing XYZ, promoting particular types of misogyny or violence. You are the clone. You're the ones that are out on the block, can't see beyond your neighborhood and depreciating the property value over your petty beefs and wars over property that you technically don't even own to begin with. You're the clone. You're the ones that are poisoning your community, pushing a product that causes all kinds of dysfunction and separation within the family, the deterioration of, your fellow human. You're the clone. Like the message of the movie and how it leaves open-ended. I think a lot of people were upset at how it ended because it wasn't just like solidified as a solution. And I love, you know what I'm saying? We didn't meet him till the end, but I literally watched video clips where people were upset that it ended the way it ended because it didn't end with an actual resolution. And I feel like those are the most effective movies or the most effective products, the ones that leave it open-ended for you to determine how you should proceed from this point forward.
Yep.
I think the people who are mad that it didn't have a resolution are the people who Kiera was not bad as hell. What? Shut up. Anyway, the people who do you want to say coming from my neck? I think the people who want a resolution are also the people who don't want. I find people who want a resolution are the people who want things neatly packaged in a bow and not necessarily having to fight or contend for things. Like every victory is not a flawless one. Some victories you're gonna have to fight for. Some things you're gonna have to get in the mud with. And the people who are like, well, it should have had a resolution. It's like, no, not everything is a happy ending. Everybody doesn't gallop off into the sunset. Sometimes sometimes there's still work to do. For me, it was Yo-Yo who had all these hopes and dreams and aspirations, but what set of circumstances brought her back to a place she worked so hard to get away from? Like, what brought her back there? How did you end up back here, Yo-Yo? Like, that's my you were trying to be a journalist, like a bona fide journalist. How'd you end up back here as a prostitute? Like, what?
I was an accomplished athlete because she had a gang of trophies in that room.
Right? Like, how did you get back here? What happened? And so they're the things like,
it's the trap.
Like it's black women having these things, having all these goals and aspirations, and being well on their way, and then some minor setback, and it's usually some setback.
I knew she was gonna say that.
usually derails them. It's like, how did you get back here?
Yo, Judan just said it. She was a yo-yo.
She was yo-yo.
Yeah. That's why her name was Yo-Yo, because she comes
Jamie
back.
Foxx said it too. Yeah, he said it in the joint.
It's
even
like,
though when he said it, he was wrong.
even Jane, like even when they was talking, when Fontaine came back the first time, and he was like, "Yo, it was a whole laboratory and a whole thing," and the dude was like, "You sure you don't need some water? Because doctors say we 83% water." I was like, "Yo, you better spit fast, dude."
Hey, Fam had a fan the whole movie. Y'all noticed that?
He did have a fan the whole movie.
The whole movie.
He was
spitting facts though. Yo, I don't know about none of y'all else. I don't know about none of y'all. But whenever something don't feel quite right with me, like it's something new, something like I'm really not used to experiences, I go water crazy. I go water crazy. I be like, I just go water crazy. Nobody else does that? Is that just me?
We do not drown ourselves.
Listen, whenever stuff don't feel right, I be like, water. Too much sugar, water.
So you ever see quote, you down in a gallon, you know what's up. Just check on
something don't feel right. No. I drink a lot of water anyway. I'm just saying in general, like I'm saying.
But the way they all banded together, the way even him and his enemy in the end came together. Him and his like
the whole hood came together.
Right,
that's
but he's
really
the last time they saw each other.
Yeah.
He said, "Nigga, next time I'ma see you." Like, because he had they had beef, but the fact that they could put their beef aside for to annihilate a common enemy, it was like one day, like, one day we gonna do it.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, first and foremost, I think that is the solution. The solution is us coming together. The thing about the common enemy thing, unfortunately, is a lot of times like.
You don't know who that is.
Unfortunately, a lot of times, just like in the spiritual game, you don't see Satan at work, so you don't realize you have an enemy, so therefore you don't fight. Yeah. Same thing happens in this scenario. You don't know that you're being watched. You don't know that you're being manipulated, so therefore you're not fighting. Same kind of concepts. But anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Getting kind of late, but anything else that just sticks out that you just like think pieces? Anything else right off that sticks out?
I think the way like music was used to change and alter moods and how different types of music affected us, and I thought that was it was true. And so it's like it's kind of cool to watch them go throughout the movie and uncover certain things, like, hey, this is affecting me this way, or did you notice like this type of music? Like when they were in the car and the radio was on and Jamie Foxx was like, turn this off because I'm getting sleepy.
I'm getting sleepy every time I hear this.
Like it's just that was the whole thing. It was like really eye opening. That people pick up on that.
Yeah, I think
that happens in real life.
It does all the time. Like this there's a reason why certain songs are played in certain arenas. There's a reason why certain music is allowed in certain spaces. And if you're aware of what comes with what accompanies that, like if I hear if I'm ever at a party and somebody just decides to throw on some drill, I'm out. Because I know the energy that comes with that. If you if you're trying to be if you're a virgin or you're trying to be celibate or abstinent and you hear some Uncle Luke come on, you might want to exit the premises.
If R. Kelly come on, you might want to exit the premises.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's so much truth to that. There's science behind it. They've played music to plants and watched how it affected them. I used to have a show Quote and I have history like from years, and we both were on the radio station together. I had a show on the station called Music Conscience, and what we were doing was we would talk about, we would get whatever song was popping, play it, everybody just listen to it blindly, whatever, just vibe out to it. Then we would come back and we would read you the lyrics with no music so you could understand what was being said. And then we would open up the phone line so you can call in with whatever your opinion was of the song now that you understand what it's really trying to convey to you, whether it's instructional, whether it's, admonition, whether it's just a reflection, whether it's news, whatever the case is. You can no longer plead ignorance because we've made you aware of exactly what the content is being presented to you. It's just packaged up nice. Like Before I Let Go how many people listen to Before I Let Go and dance at weddings?
At weddings,
but it's
you're
a
listening
breakup
to
song.
A breakup song.
Right.
I mean,
I hate when people did that with Maxwell's.
Go.
When people did that with Maxwell's Pretty Wings, I was like, what are we doing?
So the idea that these things can control you. I remember talking to somebody one time and them saying, like, I would much rather watch a scary movie with no audio, and I can get through that, versus versus being blindfolded but being able to listen to it, because you know what you hear is what you take
in. Yeah,
exactly. And yeah, it's there's so much there. We can go on forever, and I don't want to do that because I know we late for time, especially in y'all land. I'm on the West Coast.
I got beat up. I almost got beat up to that song. JR.
Which one?
I almost got beat up to that song. If we talking about touch mother niggas, cause I ride for my nigga, I almost got beat up.
That's yeah. So, yes, that Nuck If You Butt. This
and Annie Up.
Songs when they play. Yep, Annie Up.
Yeah.
What's it? Bia. When he listen, when they get to playing certain things in the club.
Money take over to the 99 and 2000, still got people in the chokehold. I done seen pastors' wives forget that they are pastors' wives when they hear that.
Did they forget?
I'm like, no, don't get up.
It's the grape juice. I'm
like, please don't do, sis. You got to teach in the morning.
Come on, you got to teach in the morning.
Hands on the floor. Hands and feet on the floor at the same time. It's like, dang.
Listen. All right, what else? Anything else that just was a heck of a think piece that we did not
like
address?
Badu, I'm going to tell you the truth. Show and prove. It's on the news.
It's on the news.
Like there's only, I feel like people deal with conspiracy theories from a standpoint of you either really believe in them or you just think they're like just batch crazy. And like I like to live somewhere in the middle, and I say, you know what, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I pay attention. So that's why, like, this movie, when I was watching, I was like, oh, this is stuff I've had conversations about. Like, these are things I've sat in seminars about. Like,
last point that I noticed that stood out to me, the point where we were just talking about where Kiefer Sutherland comes out and he's talking to them. All those other people weren't clones. All those people were not clones. There might have been some clones in there, but all of them were not clones. But what did those people do as the truth was being spoken?
Nothing.
They did nothing. They sat there and watched. And when the truth was over, they went back to living their lives, which is a whole nother point. Sometimes we get told... Well, they were, I mean, yes. I mean, theoretically, they were under that music spell or whatever the case may be. But my point is, they were all right there and did nothing. Nothing to help, nothing to change, nothing to, just at the end of the, well, how'd I get here? Okay, let's go back to our lives. You know what I mean? It's just the idea of the community all being there and still not choosing action or being helpless or being under a spell or whatever the case may be.
For me, the final.
Go ahead.
I'll say, for me, the final part was when they in Cali watching it. He wakes up the same way, and I'm like, wait, his hair is different. That's not Fontaine. He ain't got a mouth full of grills. That is not Fontaine. And he had the braids back, and I'm like, oh, and then he said, Mom, you want to go to the store? And I was like, oh, he in Cali. That's a Cali accent. And Mom, you want something from the store? And then he riding around, and then they're watching the TV, and they tripping and looking at the clones, and then everybody stops when they see Tyrone. But he and herself, and they say, "Hey yo, Tyrone." Like, what am I looking at? They're like, "Yo, ain't that you?" And I'm like,
because they said they had them set up all over the place.
Right?
Like, dude,
like, how many of these niggas are in the world?
So, what I think people may have missed, some people caught it, some people missed it.
All right, we got to do one more. I got one more thing you got to say, but go ahead.
The lab techs were clones.
Right, because it was
the lab techs were clones. The guy that ran the chicken joint was a clone. And all that came out to be said when the OG Fontaine was explaining the whole experiment of trying to eventually assimilate black people into white people, but he couldn't do anything with the hair because the hair could not be tamed. The wild nature of the roots of the hair was unable to be tamed. But the OG Fontaine being a representation of a segment of black society where they feel like the idea is if you fit in, you'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And the only way for you to fully fit in is if we just change you all together.
Yeah, the only way to be accepted is to assimilate.
And how that is legitimately the perspective of some people. And you see it all the time. And for him to get off the way that it happened was like, you know, you may have, but you're my predecessor, you're my elder. There's a way in which you do things and a way in which you see things that you're trying to get me to be like, but I have to kill you in order to be my authentic self, even if that authentic self is only a few days old. And sometimes we can be such a slave to our traditions or the ideals of traditions from people that preceded us that really don't serve us well.
Last joint, as Charles disappears. Last joint, and then we got to get up out of here. Let's see here.
He might be.
And so his phone might have died or something too. So last point.
Uh-huh.
Why? Well, we know why, but Jamal Rucker says, and so to conclude, Jonathan Isaac is a clone.
and is. Go.
Listen, but some might say, once again, it goes back to the music. But anyway, listen, and it was obvious, but isn't it interesting that they chose, there was certain, you know, everybody wasn't a clone. There was only certain ones that were cloned over and over again. And wasn't it interesting that the drug dealer and the pimp and the pastor were all clones?
It's the fact that the pastor is with the pimp and the drug dealer.
Yeah, that hurt. That kind of hurt right there. Yeah, as Christians, that definitely hurt seeing that they thought that, you know what I mean? Or to put that, you know, but they're saying basically that the church or religion is keeping people at bay the same way that a drug dealer or a pimp is keeping people at bay, not thinking, not conscious, not taking action, docile, you know, whatever the case may be.
It's the minimizing. Sorry, okay, we could go at this all night.
Go for it.
Like, so they cloned Slick, but not Yo-Yo. Not realizing that Yo-Yo was the brain. Yo-Yo was the one they should have been afraid of.
Well, no, I think that's why they cloned. That's why she doesn't get cloned, because if you have too many Yo-Yos, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but like essentially they clone Yo-Yo so that they can keep her, like they're cloning the people they can control and keep at bay. Like there are triggers that they can use to control.
They're cloning the people that can control other people. Not necessarily cloning them for just control of them. They're controlling them because of their sphere of influence and that they can control other people. They would say Yo-Yo in their mind doesn't have influence or control over other people in their mind.
Yeah. But when she wrote that expose, it was like brilliant.
Oh yeah.
That's wild.
So anyway, that is it right there.
Tastemakers. Class. We do more than make a living, we make a life. When everything is dark, we are the light. We are the tastemakers. Aight. Let tomorrow tell the stories that we make tonight. We do more than make a living, we make